Manipulating data in a form is very similar to manipulating data in a table, but let's just have a look at this more closely. In the navigation pane and in the forms group, I'm going to open up FRM Employee. This is the form we made earlier. Now technically, moving between fields, you use the tab key. The tab key moves you forward and the shift tab key moves you backwards. What I want to do though is show you how you can control the key behavior in the current database. If I ask you to click on File in the ribbon and then click on Options, what you have on the left hand side is Client Settings. These settings can be altered. For example, when you press Enter, access tends to move to the next field, but you could say when they press Enter, don't move. You can also say when you press Enter that it selects the entire field. So it selects the content of the entire field, which means that if you want to edit it, you have to sort of click to edit. Whereas you can say when I press Enter, go to the start of the field or go to the end of the field and don't necessarily select the entire field. The arrow key behavior is to move to the next field also, but some people change this that when they press the arrow key, it actually moves to the next character within the field, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a few little settings in here that are worth knowing and worth looking at. But I'll just choose cancel and I'll stick with the default. So tab is forward, enter is forward, shift tab is backwards, and if I want to edit that, then I have to press F2 so that I can change it. So I might change that to sales rep. The other thing to be aware of also is the little pencil that appears in what they call the record selector area. The little pencil indicates that this record is currently undergoing change and that those changes haven't been saved. If you wish to save these changes, there's a save button in your ribbon, and also it mentions the shortcut key combination, which is Shift Enter. If you press Shift Enter or you press this button, it will save your changes, and the little pencil is now changed to a triangle. So that's the other thing to remember as well. You can move between records by using the page down key and the page up key. You can go to the last record by pressing Control End, and you can go to the first record by pressing Control Home. This is assuming I'm in here. Control Home. Alternatively, you can also use these triangles to move to the next record, the previous record, the first record, the last record, and even create a new record. Now these can also all be achieved up here in the ribbon using the go to. You can go to the first record, the last record, the previous record, and so on. And you can also add a new record depending on where you're sitting. So if I go to the first record, I can also add a new record using this button, and I can go back to the first record. As far as entering information, it's simply a matter of just typing in to a field, but if it highlights the entire field, press F2 and that will allow you to edit a field. If it happens that you've got a field such as notes which contains a lot of information, another handy key combination to know is to zoom, and that's Shift F2. Shift F2 brings up a little zoom window, and you can therefore see more clearly the content of that field, and you can edit accordingly, and you can cut and paste and do as you normally do with any other Microsoft program. Sorting data is quite straightforward as well. In the same way as we looked at sorting in a table, you can sit, say, on last name and you can sort from A to Z, and suddenly I've got Buchanan first, or Z to A descending, and suddenly I've got this person first. And you can remove the sort as well. I could perhaps sit on birth date, and if I sort of ascending A to Z, then I would get the first birth date, which is the 19th of September 1937. If I went descending order, then I get the last birthday, 27th of January 1966, or I can remove the sort. So you can sort in the same way as you can with a table using these buttons here. You can also do filtering quite easily. For example, if I wanted to sort or to filter all of those people who are sales representatives, I might click on sales representative. I might hit the selection button and say equals sales representative, and now I've filtered out actually one record that's a sales representative, mainly because I changed, oh no, 5, sorry, it's just woken up. 5 records that are sales representatives, and I can move between them, and then they are there. And I can remove the filter just by hitting this filter button, the same as we did with the table, or the toggle filter button will remove the filter as well. If I then want to filter out perhaps a certain city, Seattle, I can go back to the selection button and say equals Seattle. And after a little while it'll wake up, and there is 2 from Seattle. And I can remove the filter. So you can also easily filter using the selection button. You can also filter, for example, using this filter button, and that brings up this drop down here where I can say don't select all, just give me all the ones from London, and OK. And so within a short span of time it basically says to me that there is 1, is it going to wake up any further? 4. There are 4 from London, and I can move between them, and I can remove the filter. So in the same way as we use this area here for doing filtering and sorting in a table, you can also use that while you're working with a form. And these buttons here, for example, enable you to save a record, add a new record, do a spell check. You can even click here and choose to delete a record, which is quite handy sometimes, or you can just click here and choose to delete just that entry, which would just be the last name down below. And we've used the find and we've used the go to, and you can use them with a form just as easily as you can with a table.